No, Jack, no. No, Jack, no. No, Jeff. No, Jeff. No. No. Jeff. No, Jeff. No. No. Right. Well. No. Not well. No, Jeff.
Monday morning, I had to take an online sexual harassment training course that was work related. And this online course included dramatizations of different scenarios being played out. They included interactive content, tests, and as I was watching these scenarios being acted out, as I was progressing through this course, I had a lot to think about. I started thinking about how disappointed I was having to go through that. It got me a bit sad, a bit emotional. It's really upsetting that here in the US, if you work under an employer, a major corporation, a major company, that I believe it's legally what's the word? Required. I believe it's federal law now that workers have to go through these compliance trainings for sexual harassment, diversity and inclusion. And these reenactments that I saw were cringy. They were fairly, the particular one that I went through was pretty well done. The quality is good from the provider of that course, but it was still cringy to me. And I can't believe as a society now, this is normal. That we have to be trained and reminded on this. Isn't it supposed to just come naturally? Isn't it supposed to be common sense? Well, apparently it isn't for some. Does sexual harassment exist? It does. But I'm going to say that it's over dramatized. It's been blown out of proportion. And I feel that the way we're going about this in general as a society, for the most part, we're going about it the wrong way. Sexual harassment seems to be a misunderstood concept. And it's created an unfair balance between males and females. And I believe that this has caused a competitiveness, a in a way, a fight, a war between male and females. Because this is what's implied, that men typically tend to make women feel uncomfortable. To the point where women are and have been claiming sexual harassment in a professional setting. And the consequences of that for men are negative. It impacts us men in a negative way. If as a male you get blamed for sexual harassment, there is a high chance you're going to lose your position. And you could have a very good position that you're happy with, that you didn't intend on losing, but you lost it due to a female complaining about you. It's not an easy subject to talk about. There's no easy remedy to sexual harassment, but maybe there's a way to manage it to where females don't need to jump or resort directly to claiming sexual harassment against us men. There's a better way to handle it. Now, I'm going to try to be on both sides of the spectrum with this topic. This is why, as intense as it may sound, in recent years, I've decided not to work with females. And this is a problem that sexual harassment claims and cases have caused. It's caused tension between men and women. Where now women have a bad perception of men. And it doesn't have to be that way. Men play their roles. Women play theirs. Yes, as men, we are sharks. We want to just jump on the opportunity. And it should be normal. This is manhood. This is part of manhood. This is what differentiates male from female. But we as men have been suppressed be- in recent years because of this, because of the sensitivity that is taking place. And I would say females are much more sensitive than males. Now, women are now putting on a persona that they're tough, that they want to be tough. And in some ways, they are, and they've become that because of different leverages that they have, this being one of them. But behind that toughness that women portray, even if a woman has the right to be independent, she doesn't need a man. I feel that women don't need men to an extent, but women need men. And men, we need women for our needs. We complete each other. We're supposed to work together, not be against each other. Women are so sensitive now. It's so easy for a woman to claim sexual harassment, to claim that she's uncomfortable from a guy, just being a guy. It's in our nature as men to want to pursue. But some of us men are going about it in the wrong way. And this course that I took, I have to give credit to how realistic it is. Certain parts of it, certain scenes showed the guys, or some guys, waiting in the parking lot at one guy waiting in the parking lot at his workplace for a female coworker. Once she finished working, she got out of the building. She was walking to her car, and he was waiting, watching her, and he ran up to her in that parking lot to try to talk to her. And they don't have that type of connection, that relationship where they're close enough to where he could do that and it would be considered a normal approach. That is more of a cold approach, which is another reason why I do not like to cold approach females. I just don't do it. And if that makes me weak as a man, so be it. This is a natural consequence for us men because of this controversy. We have to be more sensitive now. We have to be very careful with what we say around females because of how sensitive they are. Now we're all sensitive. We all have to be sensitive. But I agree that that is wrong. Focusing in general, but focusing in a work environment as a male, if you work with someone that you find attractive, you can't help it. You're attracted to her. That's your right as a man. And you shouldn't be shamed because of it. But it's your approach that matters. And guys, when we have self-doubts, when we begin to worry and overthink, and we start to scheme and plan, okay, I like this person. What do I have to say to her? What do I have to do to get her to like me? To manipulate her? That is what causes that's our mistake as men, and that is what causes females to be uncomfortable, and then that increases the risk of us being I can't think of the fucking word right now. I'm just gonna say blamed for sexual harassment. The problem is that some of us guys, we don't know how to treat women as the human beings that they are. You have to be normal with women. Treat them like you would anyone else, your guy friends. You have to be respectful. But sometimes we overlook that in our pursuit. If the textbook definition of sexual harassment is making a female feel uncomfortable, then I'm guilty of it. I, for one, am guilty of sexual harassment. And I'm sure every man is as well, because at one point or another, all of us men have made a female feel uncomfortable if she doesn't like us, for whatever her reason is, and we're trying to show interest in her. Some of us have actually had to lose certain positions or jobs because of it. In some cases, if you're not in a professional setting, if you're out at a nightclub and you try to hit on a female and she feels uncomfortable and she lets you know it, she can't really punish you or hurt you more than that. But in a professional work environment, she can complain to upper management, to HR, and you can lose your job or your position. But it all falls under harassment, apparently, because you're making a woman feel uncomfortable with how you're behaving with her. You have to be clear in your intent. I highly recommend, and it sucks because it makes the work environment not as enjoyable anymore. So if you work in a type of setting where there are a lot of females, or that's female dominated, such as an office job, in an office, a corporate position, you're surrounded by a bunch of attractive females. And you can't help but have an interest in at least one of them. But we have to, I highly recommend not pursuing a female that you work with. But if you are going to, if you've decided that you want to take the risk and try it, you have to be very careful in how you go about it. And it's not a game. Don't think of it as a game. How am I going to get her? How am I going to win her? But you have to be very clear in your intent. You have to build rapport first. And if you know that she is comfortable enough with you, you can ask her in a normal way to share your feelings with her. Privately. and you have a better chance of having a better result. Even if she's not going to be interested in you, at least she's going to have respect for you, and it won't lead to potential problems between you and her. But as a man, you have to suppress yourself, and it's not fair. It sucks. You feel like you can't really make connections, you can't really socialize. That's how I felt before, when I was working with females. And I tend to be a social person. I enjoy making connections when and where I can. But you have to be so careful now. And I've had to learn the hard way. It happened to me once. I'm not afraid to admit it. And neither should you, if you've gone through this before. And many of us guys are have been victims of this. Even though some of us may choose to keep it private, keep it to ourselves. But this was many years ago. I worked a job, and there was a female that I worked with that I found attractive. And during the beginning, our interactions went well. We were talking, we formed a connection, we were starting to get to know each other. We even hung out outside of work a couple of times. I had introduced her to a cousin of mine and his girlfriend at the time. And we went on sort of a double date, you can say, an unofficial one at that. And this whole time, I had the wrong idea. I actually thought, I didn't think anything of it. I thought everything was going fine. It was obvious to me that this girl had somewhat of an interest in me, at least enough to hang out with me, to feel comfortable enough to hang out with me outside of work. She started opening herself up to me. And I was never disrespectful to her, never rude. I can say I never tried to push any sexual innuendos on her. My goal wasn't just to jump on her for one night and leave it at that. I actually had a genuine interest in this person. And I wanted to continue developing something with her. Something romantic, more than just a platonic friendship. You can't blame me for that, right? That seems pretty normal. But apparently it wasn't. And I got punished for it. Ultimately. She hurt me. Her birthday came around that year, and I didn't stay in that job very long. It was just over the summer of that year, just a couple of months. The place had just opened up for business, and I figured it would have been a harmless act for me to get her a gift for her birthday. And I did. I gave it to her at work. I don't remember exactly if I gave it to her inside where others witnessed that, but I believe I told her that I got her something, and it was in my car. And I asked her if she would be willing to go out in the parking lot so that I can give it to her. It was either during our shift or after work that day. And I gave it to her. I believe she had accepted it wholeheartedly. And it wasn't anything expensive. It was a cupcake. And some may be laughing at me for this, but whatever. Oh well. At the time, I didn't know better. But I really didn't have any bad intentions with her. I just liked the girl. It must have been, if not the next day, it was later that week, maybe a couple of days after. The manager, our manager, asked to speak with me in his office. And you know where this is going. I go in, I talk to him, and he asks me, "Oh, is it true?" Or I was told that this person uh, feels uncomfortable. I don't remember word for word, of course, what was the words that were exchanged between him and I during that conversation. But of course, along the lines of, well, she made a complaint that you made her uncomfortable. You got her a gift, and she didn't feel comfortable about it. Psychologically, she perceived it as me getting her a gift to somehow manipulate her in a sexual way, in an unprofessional way. And I admitted to it, but I asked him, do you see anything wrong in that? Do you really feel that what I did was so wrong? And to some extent, he had agreed with me. He was trying to be reasonable. He heard me out. He wasn't completely siding with her. Or maybe he was. Because ultimately, I got let go. And I don't believe I got let go immediately that evening, but I don't believe I lasted there longer than a week. There was too much conflict of interest. After that, I was so hurt. My ego was crushed. And any guy would feel the same way. If you like someone, it doesn't matter if you work with that person or not. We're human beings. Why do we have to pretend to be something that we're not? Why do we have to be so fake? I felt that she led me on, in my defense. She twisted our situation and created a narrative that made me look bad. And because the truth is, women are defenseless. They are weak compared to us physically and, in most cases, emotionally, logically. They have this right now where they can claim harassment and they can attack us indirectly in that way. After I found out she had complained about me, it was so awkward having to see her after that, having to work with her and pretend that what happened didn't actually happen. I don't even remember if I tried confronting her about it or if I just left her alone. I figured, oh my gosh, she didn't like what I did. In my mind, she totally ruined our, whatever you want to call it, connection, relationship that we had going on, that we had started developing. Out of nowhere. I don't know where this came from. Maybe she's mentally unstable. We don't know for sure. We don't know what people are going through inside. But typically, when someone attacks you, it's a reflection of them. You cannot take it personally. We have to be strong and know that it's part of the inevitable. We're always going to get criticized. We're going to get harassed, judged in one way or another to some extent. Usually for men more than women. I don't really see women doing this, but you know how men fuck with each other. Men claim to joke around and joke around with each other in dirty ways, but is that harassment? Okay, maybe on paper, technically yes, but us guys, we don't typically claim harassment against other men. We don't complain and say, oh, this guy said this about me, that guy said that about me. And I don't believe that's an issue with women. But us men, we know how to manage better. We're not as sensitive as women are. We don't do that. If a man, as a man, if you have a problem with another man, confront him in a mature way, talk it out. If you feel that you're being bullied, picked on in some way or another, and try to get to the bottom of it. And this is what women should do as well, but typically they don't. It's easier for them to avoid confrontation with you and indirectly go talk to someone else and complain about you. And it's turned into this game. But yeah, after that, I left her alone. I got the message. And because I have social cues, I have social norms, I didn't keep pushing it. I didn't continue to try pursuing her any further. She pushed me away in a very intense way, in a very immature way. That's how I took it. Her complaining about me was way overboard. She went overboard with it. She didn't have to do that. Why couldn't she just talk to me in a normal way and share her feelings with me? if she didn't like what I had done. This is why, guys, do not be nice to females. Do not be overly nice, thinking that, oh, I can win a chick over if I do this, that, and the other for her. No. That's probably not going to work out in your favor. And especially with a chick you work with. So back to the story on the girl who had caused drama for me that I worked with. After I found out that she had complained, she behaved differently towards me. She was avoiding me. She avoided eye contact. She kept the distance from me. She showed me in her behaviors indirectly that she wanted nothing to do with me anymore. And I got so distracted by that, by how hurt I was by her, by how she decided to treat me for I don't know what reason. I don't know what was going on in her mind to where she felt she had to do what she did to me. But I was so distracted, I could no longer focus on work, on my work duties for that job. And that tension ultimately caused me being let go. And I feel that she won. She won that game. It was completely unfair. But we know that in life, in our lives, when one opportunity ends, another better one is set to come along. It's just a matter of time. A few years ago, I worked at a bank. Just a bullshit dead-end job for me to fund my life. Not a career, but it helped me to fund other goals that I had at the time. This was also a few years ago, but after what had the story that I just told. And of course, in that type of setting, there's a mix of males and females working, collaborating together in that workplace. And particularly this job at this bank, there were a good amount of guys and a good amount of girls working together. And I had started there. I got settled in. And of course, one of them caught my attention. And she knew. I didn't have to tell her. Of course, I didn't directly go to her right after meeting her, or right after the first interaction or conversation that we had. And I didn't start telling her immediately how I feel about her. No, because then that may not be normal. That could make a girl uncomfortable. Sometimes it's all about timing. You have to know when it's appropriate to speak up. But of course, you're not immediately going to go up to a girl that doesn't know you, especially one that you work with, and tell her, hey, by the way, I find you attractive. It's much easier if you're in an unprofessional setting to do that. If you're the type of guy that likes to cold approach women and try to flirt and fuck around. Be a fuck boy and play those types of games. But I was especially careful with this girl. But she knows. Women know. Just by the way you look at them. If you have an interest. She knew. This girl knew that I was into her. And she was very sweet, very kind. She seemed more genuine than the other girl that I had mentioned. She would catch me looking at her. And I'd look at her, we'd lock, make eye contact with each other, lock eyes, and we'd smile at each other. And she reciprocated. She was very kind. She smiled back. Eventually, one day, I was taking my lunch break in the back, in the break room over there, and she was in there. She was alone. She was on her phone, eating, and I sat across the table in there from her, and I asked her, mentioned her name, and I asked her, hey, if you don't mind me asking, I have a serious question for you. And I asked her, do I make it obvious that I like you? And I was smiling and sort of laughing, smirking about it at the same time. In a playful way. And she was fine with it. And her response, of course, was, yes, you do. And she sort of chuckled at my question. Females are smart. They have intuition. But my point is that she never caused any trouble between us. While at the same time, she wasn't interested in me. Nothing went anywhere between her and I. But she was, I believe, seeing or talking to someone already. Whatever her reason, she wasn't interested in me. And that's her right. Women, you have to know, and you know, that we know, that you have your rights. We can't force you as men against your free will. Us men are really not a threat to you. Know that, understand it. You have nothing to worry about with men. Sure, it's annoying being hit on everywhere you go by a bunch of dudes. But that's the nature of it. You're a female. Women, you are sex objects. As derogatory as it sounds, you know it's the truth. But that doesn't take your value away. It doesn't have to be that extreme to where us men, you have to feel that us men are saying you have no rights just because you're a female. These are modern times. Sure, women, you didn't have rights at one point in history, but we're past that. Forget about it. We're in the now. And we all know that each individual has his and her own rights. There are legal implications, legal consequences if a man puts his hand on you in a wrong way. You have nothing to worry about. So why claim sexual harassment? If a guy is trying to show his interest in you, and if you perceive it as making you feel uncomfortable, he's making you feel uncomfortable. If you don't have an interest in him, that's fine, but you do not have to be mean-spirited about it. You can politely let the guy know that you don't have an interest. And if you don't want to explain yourself, fine. You don't have to explain yourself. But please, you do not have to go to the extreme, to the extent of, if it's in a workplace. And it shouldn't have to matter if it's in a workplace or not. Women, you get hit on in the workplace all the time. It's normal. You don't have to claim harassment. You don't have to hurt a guy and his image, make him feel bad about himself, just for being a man, just for playing his part. Women, you're sex objects. But yes, you can be more than sex objects. But at the same time, you are sex objects. But you don't have to hate men as a whole for it. Now, I've been told by some females that sometimes, and I believe it to be true, sometimes a guy, you come across a guy that has it all wrong. And in a way, he's showing you that he does not know how to take no for an answer. And then that's when you have to be aggressive against him. Or you feel that you do. Now, us men, we have to, at the same time, take accountability for our actions. And it goes back to respect. Men, we have to know that if one woman turns us down, on to the next. It's okay. It's okay to be turned down. You don't have to be fixated on one woman. And it's easier said than done. But sure, if there's a woman you care about, you can care about her. You don't have to have animosity towards her just because she turned you down. Love women, but love them from a distance. You'll feel better about yourself. You'll have more self-respect, pride, confidence. That you don't need to allow one woman, one girl, one person that you like to have such an effect on you, to where you have to keep pushing until she breaks and she punishes you for it. That's wrong. But now, women, if you come across a guy that's abusing you in any way whatsoever, unfortunately, sometimes it has to happen where you have to get the law involved. You have to speak up. If But don't jump to hurting a guy, making him feel bad about himself just for liking you. In the worst case scenario, you do what you have to do to protect yourself. If you come across a guy that is behaving flat out wrong. But that's typically not the case. Majority of us men, guys, we know to be respectful. Looking back, and I'm probably going to close with this. Looking back at the girl that had reported me, where we worked those years ago, the mistake I made with her is that I was not clear in my intent. Sure, of course, I wanted to date her. I wanted to be more than just a coworker to her. But apparently, she didn't see me in that way. She saw me as either just a friend or just a coworker. But I didn't, at one point, pull her aside and tell her directly, this is how I feel about you, and I hope you're okay with that. I hope you agree. If you feel the same way, if you want to give me a chance, I'd love to pursue you outside of work. I didn't do that. I stayed silent, but my actions were kind. But that is why, that's the psychology behind it. That's why she did not like what I did, because she felt that I was not being honest with her. I didn't use words to communicate my feelings with her. She just saw that me getting her a gift showed her how I feel about her, but in an indirect way. And obviously, she didn't feel the same way that I did about her. Otherwise, what reason would she have to complain about me? Think about it. I'm sure a lot of people agree with what I've said in this video and have gone through what I've gone through. You know what I'm talking about. Agree with me. It is what it is. It's very unfortunate. It's a very unfortunate fact of life, but this is where we stand now, and I feel that it's not going to change. There's always that risk of being accused, being falsely accused. Some females don't have good intentions. Some females will make up stories to put you down because they want to see you suffer. It's a personal attack against you. And we don't know. We don't know anymore what's the truth and what's not. What girls actually have the right intentions when they complain. Let's look at the Me Too movement as an example, a big one at that. Or when someone is falsely accusing us for their own benefit. It's not right. It, it's shitty. I'll just leave it at that.